Hello YouTube. In this video I'm going to show you how to actually set Windows Server 2008 as a domain controller to host your Active Directory. This is what will give you the domain that all the systems are going to be connected to and log into. This will also set up the Active Directory, which will give you all your user accounts, your GURP profiles, all the OUs that you're going to need to modify, and it'll also be where you get your user accounts and profiles and everything to set up any active shares or anything along those lines. Your Active Directory is also going to be the main controller for Exchange server, along with a lot of things with SharePoint. If you're hosting a SharePoint server, your domain controller is a very vital part of any organization or any actual infrastructure setup that requires a server. In order to set your system up as a domain controller, you need to go to Start, bring up Command Prompt, and type in DCPROMO. This is actually going to take a little while to set up. It has to add in quite a few snap-ins, and it's also got to add in a few features and roles to the server. So there's some software that it has to force install that the packages are actually there in the base installation, and once it completes doing the install, you'll go in and configure your domain and everything else. You have to have a fully qualified domain. For this, we're going to use techtips.brownell.net. I could also set it up as techtips.brownell.org or even techtips.brownell.com. However I want to set it up. You have lots of options. Lots and lots of options. We're not going to use the advanced mode installation. So just click next on this screen. Next again. We're going to create a new domain forest. One doesn't exist. If you already have an active domain controller, then you can join an existing forest. And that's where our fully qualified domain name is. It's going to be techtips.brownell.net. .net is generally used for networks, .com for commercial, .org for organization and nonprofit companies. Forest function level, there are no older systems, so we're going to say Windows 2008 R2. For this, you're also going to want a DNS service set up. You can add that role later. You can configure that role later. You just want to have a domain server so that way it can convert domain names into IP addresses. It can convert host names into IP addresses. Okay, and in this part, you're going to set up the actual DNS server. As it states right here, the first domain controller in the forest must be a global catalog server and cannot be an RODC. What an RODC is this is an active DC. An RODC is a read-only domain controller. It's commonly used as a backup domain just in case the primary one goes down where your Active Directory and everything's held. RODC will still keep a copy of it. You cannot go in and edit the stuff, but it will still function and you'll still have connectivity until the main server can be brought back up live and the primary Active Directory is brought back up. So you want to click next here. Okay, and if you're running a dynamically allocated IP address through DHCP, you're going to want to set a static IP address. I'm going to tell it that it's going to have a static IP. You know what? For this purpose, we'll go ahead and run this with just the dynamic allocated. But under most circumstances, you will want to go in and configure your own hard-coded static IP address. Don't let it do the automatic. Do you want to continue? Click yes. Okay, and this is where you set up your database folders. Just leave it all on default. Click next. You'll want to set a password. And you want to make sure that it's a password that you can remember, but you don't want it to be something that is super stupid simple. Okay, review your selections. I already know what all of them are. You can export the settings to be able to look at it later. Click next. And now it's going to finish up the DNS installation. As you can see, as it indicates, it states right there at the top, this process can take from a few minutes to several hours. So expect this to take quite some time. Whenever it's done, all you have to do is click finish and then restart. After you reboot, it will be a full-blown domain controller, and your domain will be whatever you set in this particular case. The domain to this system and to the network that it's on will actually be techtips.brownell.net. After it's completely finished, you'll be at the Control-Alt-Delete screen. Just hit Control-Alt-Delete to log on. You will want to log on as administrator. There are going to be a couple of things that's going to have to finish up. I'm using this virtual machine entirely for demonstration purposes. And you'll see now that it actually has a domain. The primary domain that I will be in is called TechTips. And now, as you can see right here under the roles, it is now a DNS server and an active domain services, which means this thing is now a fully qualified domain controller. From here, it's just build onto it and add more servers to the system. You can add a lot of desktops to the system, all of them on the network, and you won't have a whole lot of trouble. It'll actually just snap right in and work quite well. All your policies and group configurations and everything that's on the active domain controller will actually go down from the Active Directory and feed funnel down into the desktop. So all your permissions you have set will apply to all the users, and vice versa. It's a fairly efficient system, real quick and easy to set up. This information's out there for absolutely everyone. And as always, watch, like, and share. Have a great day.